It's 4:23 a.m. off the coast of Venezuela. A cargo vessel cuts through dark waters with no running lights. Inside the hull, 4,000 pounds of crystal meth sits wrapped in waterproof packages. The crew has no idea that 3 unmarked Navy ships have been tracking them for the past 6 hours. This wasn't just another drug bust. This was the culmination of an 18-month investigation into what federal agents were calling the largest methamphetamine syndicate in the Western Hemisphere. A criminal empire worth $5 billion. An operation so massive it required coordination between the United States Navy, the FBI, the DEA, and intelligence agencies across 3 countries. The syndicate operated between Colombia and Venezuela. 2 violent cartels ran the show. Clon del Golfo controlled the production side. Tren de Aragua managed distribution and enforcement. Together, they built something the drug war had never seen before. Not a cartel, not a gang. An industrial corporation built on violence and chemistry. They weren't cooking meth in rural shacks or hidden jungle camps. They were running factories. Real factories with chemical engineers, quality control, and production schedules. The meth they produced was 98% pure. Hospital-grade glassware, pharmaceutical precursors, industrial ventilation systems. This was manufacturing, not crime in the traditional sense. The operation stretched from the mountains of Colombia to the streets of Los Angeles, from the ports of Venezuela to distribution networks in Miami, Houston, and Phoenix. Every month, thousands of pounds of crystal meth flowed north. Every month, millions of dollars flowed south. But the cartels made a mistake. They got too big, too organized, too visible. The investigation started in March 2022. A routine Coast Guard inspection near the Bahamas turned up something strange. A fishing vessel with brand new engines, satellite communications equipment, long-range fuel tanks. The boat could cross the Atlantic if needed, but it was registered as a local fishing trawler. The crew's story didn't match. They claimed they were heading to fishing grounds 60 miles out, but their fuel load suggested a journey 10 times that distance. Coast Guard agents searched the vessel. Hidden compartments in the hull, false bottoms in the fuel tanks. Empty, but clearly designed for smuggling. They let the boat go, but they tagged it with a tracking device. That single tracker led agents to 12 other vessels, then to a port facility in Venezuela, then to encrypted communications between cartel members discussing shipment schedules, production quotas, and payment transfers. The FBI assembled a task force. Agents from Homeland Security investigations joined. DEA personnel with experience in cartel operations came on board. Navy intelligence analysts started monitoring maritime traffic patterns in the Caribbean. The picture that emerged was staggering. The syndicate was moving between 8,000 and 12,000 pounds of methamphetamine into the United States every single month. Street value ranged between $200 and $300 million per shipment. The cartels had built an entire shadow supply chain. Corrupt port officials, paid-off customs agents, front companies purchasing chemical precursors legally. They tracked the money backward. Shell companies in Panama, bank accounts in the Cayman Islands, real estate holdings in Miami purchased through layers of corporate structures, luxury cars registered to companies that didn't exist. The financial network was as sophisticated as any legitimate multinational corporation, but finding the money was one thing. Finding the labs was different. Satellite surveillance picked up thermal signatures in the mountains outside Envigado, Colombia, an industrial area known for textile manufacturing and food processing. The heat signatures didn't match normal factory operations. They were consistent with chemical reactors running 24 hours a day. Ground surveillance teams moved in. For 3 months, agents watched the facility. Workers arrived in unmarked vans. Deliveries came at night. Armed security patrolled the perimeter. The building had reinforced doors, blast-resistant windows, and industrial ventilation systems that vented into underground filtration systems. This wasn't a meth lab. This was a fortress designed to look like a factory. Intelligence intercepts revealed production schedules. The facility operated in cycles. 7 days of continuous production, 3 days of cleaning and maintenance, then another production cycle. Each cycle produced approximately 1,500 pounds of finished product. The FBI wanted to wait, gather more intelligence, map out the entire network before moving. But the DEA pushed for immediate action. The longer they waited, the more meth hit American streets. The decision came down from Washington. Strike simultaneously. Hit the factory in Colombia and intercept the next maritime shipment at the same time. Operation planning took 6 weeks. Colombian National Police would provide ground support for the factory raid. U.S. Navy vessels would position themselves along known trafficking routes. FBI agents would coordinate timing to ensure both operations happened within a 2-hour window. The date was set. April 14, 2024, 0 hour, 0400 local time, the factory raid launched on schedule. 40 Colombian police officers, 12 FBI agents, 4 DEA personnel. They breached the main entrance at exactly 4:02 a.m. The facility was empty. Completely empty. No workers, no security, no chemicals, no equipment. Just empty rooms with concrete floors and industrial lighting. Agents searched every corner. Nothing. Then one agent noticed something. The floor in the main production room was too clean. Industrial facilities accumulate stains, chemical residue, oil marks. This floor was spotless. Recently cleaned. Recently sealed, they brought in ground-penetrating radar. The scan revealed empty space beneath the concrete. 5 separate chambers, each one roughly 40 feet by 60 feet. Cutting torches opened the floor. Stairs led down into darkness. The lights came on. 5 underground production labs, each one equipped with industrial-scale chemical reactors. Stainless steel vessels capable of processing 500 pounds of precursor chemicals per batch. Temperature control systems. Automated mixing equipment. Ventilation systems that filtered exhaust through activated carbon before venting outside. This was the real facility. The building above was just a shell. A decoy to make the operation look legitimate. The cartels had learned from past mistakes. Mexican drug organizations had lost hundreds of labs to raids over the past decade. The problem was always the same. Labs in rural areas attracted attention. Strange smells, chemical waste, armed guards in places where they shouldn't be. So Clon del Golfo hired engineers. Real chemical engineers with degrees from Colombian universities. They designed a facility that could hide in plain sight. Underground construction eliminated thermal signatures visible from satellites. The building above provided cover and legitimate business activity to explain truck traffic. The ventilation system was genius. Exhaust from the chemical reactions passed through 3 stages of filtration. First, a water scrubber removed particulates. Second, activated carbon absorbed organic compounds. Third, the air mixed with ventilation from the legitimate factory above, diluting any remaining traces. Local residents thought the building was a food processing plant. The smell of cooking covered any chemical odors. Trucks coming and going were just deliveries and shipments. Nothing suspicious. Nothing worth reporting. The underground labs ran independently. Power came from the building above, but backup generators provided redundancy. Water came from deep wells, not the municipal supply. Chemical waste was stored in sealed tanks, then transported out disguised as industrial byproducts. Production capacity was massive. Each reactor could complete a batch in 72 hours. 5 reactors running on staggered schedules meant finished product every 14 hours. Monthly output exceeded 6,000 pounds, but the most disturbing discovery came in the back chamber. Agents found sleeping mats. Crude bathroom facilities. Chains bolted to the walls. The cartels were using forced labor. Workers kidnapped from poor neighborhoods. Held underground for months at a time. Forced to cook meth or die, medical supplies suggested the cartels kept their captive chemists healthy enough to work. Vitamins, antibiotics, basic medical equipment. 19 people were found locked in the facility. 19 people who hadn't seen daylight in weeks or months. The factory raid was a success. But the ocean operation was about to get complicated. The USS Mason, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, tracked the cargo vessel from international waters. Navy SEAL Team 4 was on standby. 2 rigid-hull inflatable boats ready for boarding operations. The cargo ship maintained steady course toward Venezuela's coast. Radar showed no deviation. No attempts at evasive maneuvers. The crew either didn't know they were being tracked or didn't care. At 0547 hours, the cargo vessel changed course. Sharp turn to the west. Speed increased from 12 knots to 18. Someone on board knew Navy commanders made the call. Intercept now or lose them in coastal waters. The destroyer moved to intercept. Radio hails went unanswered. Warning shots across the bow were ignored. The cargo vessel kept running. SEAL teams launched at 0603 hours. 2 boats. 16 operators. Rules of engagement were clear. Secure the vessel. Apprehend the crew. Preserve the evidence. The cargo ship's crew responded with small arms fire. AK-47 rounds pinged off the SEAL boat's armor plating. The SEALs returned fire with precision, targeting the bridge. the engine room access, anywhere that would stop the ship without sinking it. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Cartel gunmen fired from behind cargo containers. SEALs maneuvered along the hull using smoke grenades for cover. One SEAL took a round to his ceramic plate. Impact knocked him down, but the armor held. At 0614 hours, the cargo vessel's engines cut out, either damaged by gunfire or deliberately shut down. The ship started drifting. SEALs climbed aboard using grappling hooks and tactical ladders. 8 cartel members surrendered. 3 were wounded. 2 were dead. The ship's captain tried to scuttle the vessel by opening seawater valves. Navy damage control teams stopped the flooding before the ship went under. The cargo hold contained exactly what intelligence suggested: 4,187 pounds of crystal methamphetamine, packaged in vacuum-sealed bags, wrapped in waterproof containers. Ready for distribution, but there was more. Encrypted laptops, satellite phones, financial records, ledgers detailing shipments going back 3 years, names of distributors in the United States, bank account numbers, wire transfer records. The intelligence haul was worth more than the drugs. Forensic accountants spent the next 6 months tracing the money. The $5 billion figure came from conservative estimates of total cartel revenue over a 3-year period. But the real network was larger. Shell companies in 17 countries. Real estate worth over $800 million. Legitimate businesses purchased with drug money and used for laundering. The cartels had invested in hotels, car dealerships, construction companies, and restaurants. They owned farmland in Colombia and apartment buildings in Miami. They had diversified like any smart corporation. The drug money was just startup capital. The real fortune was in legitimate assets purchased with laundered cash. Law enforcement agencies across 12 countries began simultaneous operations. Raids on cartel safe houses, seizure of assets, arrests of money laundering networks. Over 200 people were taken into custody in a 72-hour period. The financial network collapsed. Bank accounts frozen, real estate seized, front companies shut down. The cartels lost billions in accessible assets, but the biggest blow was reputational. Clon del Golfo and Tren de Aragua had built their power on an image of invincibility. They paid off officials. They murdered rivals. They operated with impunity. This operation shattered that image. Smaller cartels saw opportunity. Rivals moved into territory previously controlled by the syndicate. Violence escalated as criminal organizations fought over the scraps. Colombian and Venezuelan authorities struggled to maintain control as the power vacuum expanded. The investigation continues. Federal prosecutors are building cases against over 300 individuals. Extradition requests have been filed with Colombia and Venezuela. Some will likely never see trial. Cartel justice tends to be faster than the legal system. The underground factory in Envigado was destroyed. Colombian authorities used controlled explosives to collapse the chambers. The building above was demolished. The site is now empty land awaiting environmental cleanup. Chemical contamination will take years to remediate. The 19 workers rescued from the facility received medical treatment and protective custody. Some provided testimony. Others were too traumatized to speak. All of them face long recoveries from months of forced labor and chemical exposure. The captured cargo vessel was processed as evidence and eventually sold at auction. The methamphetamine was incinerated at a secure facility. The financial assets seized are being distributed among law enforcement agencies involved in the operation, but the war isn't over. Methamphetamine remains one of the most profitable drugs in the Western Hemisphere. Demand hasn't decreased. Street prices haven't increased significantly. That means other organizations have already stepped in to fill the supply gap. Intelligence suggests new production facilities are already operational. Different locations, different security measures, different trafficking routes. The cartels learned from this operation. They adapted. They evolved. The $5 billion syndicate is broken, but the meth trade continues. Production has shifted. Supply chains have rerouted. New criminal organizations are consolidating power. This operation proved that even the most sophisticated cartels can be defeated. It demonstrated the power of interagency cooperation and international coordination. It showed that no criminal organization is truly invisible, but it also revealed a sobering truth. The drug war isn't fought against cartels anymore. It's fought against corporations. Criminal enterprises with budgets, hierarchies, strategic planning, and long-term investment strategies. They hire engineers, accountants, and logistics experts. They operate like Fortune 500 companies, except their product kills people and their enforcement division murders competitors. The next syndicate is already forming. Somewhere in South America, another group is building another factory, planning another route, developing another network. The cycle continues. Law enforcement will keep fighting. Intelligence agencies will keep tracking. Military assets will keep intercepting. But as long as demand exists, supply will follow. As long as meth remains profitable, cartels will keep producing it. The $5 billion empire is gone. The question is, how long until the next one reaches $6 billion? Or 7, or 10? The Navy and FBI won this battle. The war continues. If you want to see what happens next, watch the next video.